Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brandon with the Hefé Media Podcast, where we sit down with game changers in their respective industry. Today, I am sitting here with the fabulous Lital Odelia, owner and operator of Nadiandlo Jewelry. The purpose of today's episode is to impact the mind of a successful business woman. How's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's my pleasure. I know we've been talking about doing a podcast and finally got you here, and I appreciate your not persistence but your follow through. I know we're in LA and a lot of people are not, they don't have that follow through, but it's not, with you and with Joel, etc. You guys followed through, so I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Thank you. No, of course, and thank you for also coming through with this. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is definitely a passion of mine, and I enjoy delivering information to audiences that may need to hear this, and and also providing the service for others that also have a message to deliver. I just want to make a quick shout out to the sponsor before I forget. Intelligates.com. It's the smart way to do gates. If you have a gate that needs gate automation, make sure you go to Intelligates.com. But Intelligates.com is the smart way to do gates, gate automation, sliding gates, overhead gates, all types of gates, sensors, remote control gates, telephone key entry systems, commercial and residential gates. Make sure you contact Intelligates. They service Orange County and Los Angeles cities. But back to our scheduled programming. So yeah, let me know a little bit about yourself, other than maybe for the audience that doesn't know you. Is this your first podcast, by the way? Or
It is.
Hey, shout out to you, because you were like you didn't even flinch. You're like, you were hitting me up. Hey, when are we doing this podcast?
I love public speaking. Like, I say this humbly, but in a way, I love the sound of my own voice.
Really?
Since I was a kid, I just remembered maybe my first speech I ever gave, I was 7 years old. I was running for student council, and I just fell in love with being in front of a crowd, because I always felt like I had a message to deliver in some way.
Because you do have a message.
Apparently, yeah. But I do believe it's the trajectory that my life is taking me to towards. So this is a really humbling experience for me, because I've in a way kind of manifested it. I think I've always really wanted to do something like this. So again, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to do so.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. Obviously we know that you're the sole owner, or do you have a partner?
Mm-hmm. No, sole owner.
Sole owner.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of go into, I know you talked about a little bit about your background, but kind of how that business evolved, or how it started,
how it came about. Yeah. So basically, that saying, when you have a plan, God laughs, it was exactly that. Since I was 12 years old, for I want to say at least 10 years, I thought I wanted to be an occupational therapist. I wanted to work with kids with autism. That was my passion. I knew I could help and be there in a way for kids, because I just felt like that was my calling. And then I started college, and I was working at the bank at the time. I was in my third year. I was studying kinesiology. Hated it, absolutely hated it. I was really struggling. And then while I was working at the bank, I'm like, okay, I'm making money. So I'm like, maybe I'll just stay at the bank. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do at that point, because I'm for 10 years, I thought I had tunnel vision, and I knew that's what I'm supposed to do. And then one day, one of my coworkers was wearing a ring, and I'm like, I love your ring. She's like, thank you. And she said our other coworker made it. And I was like, what? She made it? I never thought about making jewelry.
Yeah.
And I was going to Vegas in maybe 2 weeks after that situation, and I was like, maybe I'll make me and my friends some jewelry to wear. And I went to Michael's later that weekend. I bought a bunch of supplies, and I sat there for 12 hours, not even exaggerating, and I didn't want to get up. The only time I got up was to use the restroom. That was it. I fell in love with creating and designing, and it just did something to my soul that I can't even explain. 100%. And yeah, but when I was a kid, I always knew I wanted to go into fashion also.
Oh, wow.
And then this kind of just happened.
big desire.
Yeah. I have a lot.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to like see it manifest. And then also, like it was a lot of trial and error.
Okay.
And there were a lot of struggles with it too. Cause like for 10 years, you're saying you're going to be an occupational therapist. You're going to have all this stability. And then, oh, let me start a jewelry company. And at the time, it wasn't like so like conventional for people to start their own businesses. This was about 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I was
so you've been doing your thing longer than I've probably been doing my thing.
I was how old? Okay, I'm 30 now, so I was about 21, 22.
I'm 31.
Okay, so
I'm
yeah,
31.
I was 21, 22 when I started.
But I was a dumb 20-year-old, you know, so.
I mean, I think we all have those moments,
Yeah.
but I just knew like none of it made sense to me, but like there was like a pull in my soul that told me like keep going,
Okay.
even though I didn't know what I was doing. I just learned to say yes to everything. Like I
Really?
really learned through experience. And I was still in school. I'm like, I'm gonna finish because I'm already more
I was
than
going to ask you, so you changed your major or?
No, I stayed with it.
Kinesiology.
Yeah.
You got your degree in
Yeah.
kinesiology. Oh, okay. So you're in the gym then, for sure.
Not so much. It was
No?
more like this, like a little
Like
yes
the therapy,
and no.
the physical therapy aspect
A little
of it.
bit, yeah.
But usually
it was
like
a lot
those-
of like biomechanics, and like honestly,
Gotcha.
I'm traumatized from that because biomechanics, I still have no idea what any of
I
that
don't know
means.
anything about that stuff.
Yeah, so I was just I felt accomplished just finishing that, and then I stayed at the bank after graduation. Just
You were
to
like
kind-
a
I was a
personal banker
I was a
or
teller.
teller? Okay.
Yeah, so it just got a little too much. I was there for 4 years, and I just hated
Micromanagement, right?
and the corporate world
Yeah.
and like the underpaying.
Yeah, the
like,
corporate world is weird. They like talk to you as if like you're not, like you can't know something, or like they have greater
Yeah.
knowledge than you, but it's like,
The crazy thing is,
Yeah.
they like we were getting paid the least amount of anyone else at our location, like at the branch, and we were doing the most amount of work.
really?
And
That's how
so-
it works, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so I realized like I can't stay here. Like I loved everyone that I worked with. I got really lucky, but it was just I felt like my soul was like being like
And
caged.
you were there till like what, 24 or
2016. So I
so
was
26 or something?
7 years, like 24, 23,
24?
24. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I remember though, I stayed at the bank because again, like jumping into the unknown is always so scary.
For sure, 100%.
And especially when you're so used to routine, whether it's school or like a job, like you knew what you were doing when you when you wake up in the morning. And then all of a sudden it's like, if I quit the bank, what am I doing next? I have like this company that I want to start, but like I don't know how to start it. And people around me, like they kind of see it as a hobby, not as a career.
For sure.
And that was kind of like my biggest hurdle.
You're like, it's not a hobby. It's 100%.
I kept
This is
saying
what
that.
this
I'm
is
like,
what I
this
do.
is what I want to do.
This is who I am.
It didn't make sense. It didn't even make sense to me
Yeah.
because I'm like, I had all these other dreams. And then all of a sudden, like, here I am trying to like start something from scratch and like not have that stability. But again, something inside of me was telling me, do it, do it, do it. And so I started out with doing like different events. Like I started with my close circle, and then I kind of reached out and collaborated with other people. And then really something that changed my life was when I started selling at the Melrose Trading Post. It's a really large
Okay,
flea
yeah.
market in West Hollywood.
I've seen online some of the stuff, I think.
Yeah,
Looks
it's
nice.
so I got a booth there in 2015, and I was selling there for months, and I was barely making like $100 a day, barely enough to cover the rent.
Okay.
But I still showed up every Sunday, or
Okay.
as many Sundays as they would let me.
And I'm assuming your product improved over the time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, majorly. Because in the beginning, it was more like avant-garde pieces, like more for editorials, and because I just
And
liked
I know
that.
nothing about that
Yeah,
stuff.
so I just liked more like the costume jewelry aspect of jewelry designing, but that's not really where the money was.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, how do I incorporate like my original designs with what's really trending and not make it be like everyone else's?
Yeah.
So at that time, like I remembered, I think it took me about a year of selling there. And it was actually my parents who pushed me, like, especially my mom. She's like, go every week. Like, I wanted to be lazy and be like, oh, it's a Sunday. Like, I just want to chill out.
Okay.
But she's like, go. So I went every
That's
Sunday,
awesome.
and I had a really, like, I remembered I had a really good Sunday. And I was like, okay, I can quit the bank. Like,
Yeah.
I needed some leverage. I needed something to tell me, like,
So you were
can go.
doing it like on the weekends?
Yeah, on the side.
Okay, you were doing it on the weekends, but you still had your income coming in smart.
Right. Yeah, because like you want to make sure you're secure before
For sure.
jumping into something.
For sure. And then you're able to fund the business
Exactly.
too.
Exactly.
You know, versus like scraping off with nothing, no fuel in the tank. So.
And then you're like out of a job, and then you're also like 6 feet under.
And you have no product, you have no inventory, because
you can't do anything with no capital.
You can't do anything, yeah. So one way or another, you're gonna have to serve somebody to get that income to come in.
Yeah, exactly.
Curious, Nadiandlo, what is that?
So this is also another thing, I guess, speaking about desire. So when I was a kid, my grandma passed away when I was 2, but I always felt a very spiritual connection to her, something I can't explain. And I always said if I ever had something that was my own, I would name it after her. And I remembered it was like a weekend after like creating like saying to myself, like, I'm going to create a brand. I was sitting there like trying to figure out names, and then it just like came to me. So my grandmother's name was Nadia, and my first and middle initials are LO. So Nadia and Lo. So I just added the ND to like connect both of us. And the crazy thing is, one day I looked up what Nadia means and what Lo means. Nadia means hope, and Lo means creation of God. So when I saw that, I'm like, this is my destined path.
Awesome. That's beautiful. Yeah, I had no idea what your brand standard for. I mean, my business, Hefé Media, I don't know if you noticed, but it's a lowercase h. It's a lowercase h because the big boss is, you know who the big boss is.
I love that.
So the little boss, it's more of the leadership. It's more of, I guess, trying to inspire others that they can, be free and operate as their own, and serve people. And I heard a saying, there's like 2 different sayings that are kind of connected. It's like, in order to be a leader, you have to be a follower. And in order to be the master, you have to be the fool.
Ooh, I love that. That's so good.
So yeah, no, for sure. Because at the beginning, I would say earlier in my 20s, it was more like the brand was more egotistical, I mean, Hefé boss, whatever.
Right.
You're like, yo, whatever. You can come up with any conclusion. But as it's evolved over time and through like my studies, I'm like, no, this is like, I'm the small boss. I'm the little boss. The main boss is up here. He's all around. But the main thing is to help inspire and inspire others to realize who they can become, living out their full potential. So just to kind of give you some clarity on
that's
how
beautiful. I love that.
How I kind of evolved the brand over time. So.
And I love that you touched about being free and like that freedom. And that's kind of also what going into today, I was like, my message really is about freedom and like being your own boss and like your own boss, but like being able to do what you want and not really having to answer to
fulfilling your
desires.
desires. I mean, because and you really truly want those desires fulfilled. Like some people, I feel, do things because it's just like the spur of the moment, or they want to. They're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for exterior reasons, and it's not really true. I mean, it takes a lot to realize those things, because I was doing that. I'm sure we all have done that. But when you truly have a true desire for something, it's it's internal,
right?
And so yeah, no, I just wanted to touch up on that. And
it's funny with the desire thing. That's kind of like what connected us too. Like when we were in class, that one Psalm verse.
Because you look, or there's someone that I know that you look similar to, and then I just thought that you were of the same ethnicity of this person. And but you're Jewish, so it's similar ethnicity. So no, it's crazy. The mind is everything's connected for sure. Everything is connected for sure. And and that's why I really appreciate you and Joel coming through and making sure that this podcast happened. Really to making it a big effort to associate myself with people like you guys that are doing it, that are about it, and that respect other people. Respect other people and respect yourself most importantly. And I'm excited.
Me too.
Excited to
it's
be
definitely ordained by a higher power.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of wanted to transition a little bit into maybe some of your products and maybe some of the demographics that you service. I mean, obviously you service, I'm assuming, mainly women, but
honestly, no. It's a fair share of
50-50 or what?
Even kids. Like
Kids? Okay.
really everyone, because we have things, it really just depends on your own personal style.
Okay.
And so we have an online store and we sell in person at different markets, and I love selling in person because you really have like that face-to-face interaction and you really get to know people. And it's not like, to me, it's not just about like making money. It's like, oh, here, buy a necklace from me. Like it's more about building connection and really like getting to know people on like a deeper level. And like I remember so many of my customers because of the way they've impacted me, and the way like people have come back and like told me things like that they remember that I said, and like it's just such a beautiful community I feel that I've been able to build. And it really is so much more than just buying jewelry. And for example, this past weekend it was just so cute to see. There was a family that came in with their daughter.
Okay.
She was like 7 or 8, I'm guessing. And they're teaching her responsibility. Like, they let her spend her own money that she worked for.
That's awesome.
So, she like came the first time and then she wanted to get a butterfly necklace. And so she bought it like with her own money. And then she came back again because she couldn't stop thinking of this matching butterfly ring to go with it. And her mom was like, are you sure you want to get that? Like, just so you know, it takes a long time to make this and this amount. And she's like, yeah, I'm sure. And then she comes up to me and she's like, I finally made my decision. And it's just so nice also to see like how parents like are raising their children to like not take things for granted. So I really get to witness so much like of this like incredible, I don't even know what like how to put it into words. Like I just get to see so much into like other people's lives in a way, like when they come together. But yeah, I really sold to everyone.
So she knew what, like she came back for it?
Yeah, like that same day. She's like, I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knowing me, I would have been like, oh, no, that one's more now because
Yeah.
Try to hustle a little kid.
No, I was like giving her discounts. I'm like, I'll even give it to her for half
You're
off.
like,
She's so cute. I'm like, just take it. Like, I want you to have it. Like, that's the thing. I'm also not like greedy, like at all. Like I'll give people discounts. Like I hate to say it, but I'm saying it. Like if you know how to approach me like politely, like I will definitely give you a discount because I really like.
Yeah, 100%. Even like with the whole like video production stuff and like I made a video recently and like it's like similar to like coaching and consulting. If you see someone hungry for it, you're gonna want to help them even more so, versus someone that's like kind of like on the fence about it. It's like you're not gonna want to help them. Yeah. Someone that's like really like what we're talking about, the whole desire thing. Like if you see that desire there, like you want to do more to like help those.
Oh,
people.
Absolutely. Because then it's like an equal like energy exchange too.
Yeah, 100%. Wow. So a little bit more about your products. Can you kind of, I mean, you mentioned like editorial and different things like that. Like what are like, cause I have I don't really wear jewelry. I'm open to jewelry, but I don't really wear jewelry. Like what is kind of like the variation? What is kind of like the spectrum of jewelry? Just like a quick course of.
Yeah. So there's really so much like so many different types of jewelry. So when I first started, my pieces were more avant-garde, like very like they're heavier, like more like gray tones, like black tones. That's what I was like more like doing. I was doing like arm jewelry and back jewelry, like things that like you don't really wear on a day-to-day basis. But now I'm doing more like gold jewelry and silver jewelry, like more dainty pieces. And
dainty, you said?
Yeah.
So like more
like
feminine?
Light and fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Like delicate jewelry.
Oh, I love it.
And so this is also why I love selling in person, because I love helping. Like, it's really popular for people to like stack their jewelry at like different layers or different lengths. And so being in person, like I get this a lot. Like, people are always like, I really want to layer my jewelry, but like I don't know how. And that's like where we come in and we like help you.
So it's like they get a full service.
Yeah, full service, and they gotta like customize their own pieces and like put things together. And I really think that that's really what sets my company apart from a lot of other brands, just because it has like the customer's own personal touch, which like I love, because I don't want to just like sell you something because I like it. I want you to like really love it.
For sure, 100%. Cool. What was on my mind? What do you foresee? Like, what, I mean, obviously, like what you said, we think and God laughs, you know, but what do you foresee, like, with your brand? What would be ideal, I guess, for your brand within the next, like, couple months or couple years, etc.? Like, what kind of, like, how do you see your brand evolve over the course of time?
I would love to open up brick and mortar stores, like actual physical locations.
Okay.
Maybe one here, one in New York, one in Miami.
Yeah, you've been
I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, you've been mentioning New York, so I think you have a calling out there. I mean, from my perspective, but yeah, you said Miami, New York, the big cities.
Big cities,
Los Angeles.
Yeah. And I actually used to sell out in New York too a couple years ago. Yeah, we ship internationally all over the country, all over the world.
All over the world.
But
you have a big segment in somewhere that's not in the United States that you ship to?
Honestly, Canada.
Canada?
Yeah, the Canadians love me.
The Canadians, I hear that they're like such kind people. They have like great attitudes.
I actually haven't met too many of my Canadian customers out here. They're more online.
Yeah, I heard about this stuff online.
Yeah.
So I haven't had any.
So very well maybe. I've met a lot of Australians, New Zealand. I actually was selling to a store out in New Zealand. She has 2 boutiques out there, so that was a really like humbling experience too.
Okay.
They're really from like all over the world, but yeah, back in 2017 I think it was, I started selling at a few flea markets out there, and then I hired a couple girls to like manage it for me while I was obviously in LA. But it gets a little like hard if you're not there. For sure. But I would definitely like try that again. But I do want to open up an actual store.
You want to expand it. You want to evolve it. So right now, do you, like, I don't even know, do you sell, like, I know we talked about permanent jewelry, but do you sell like diamonds and emeralds?
So I don't do fine jewelry. Fine jewelry. Yeah, I don't do fine jewelry. I do more like high quality like fashion jewelry. Okay. So gold filled, sterling silver. These are things that like will still last you over time, just not at the price tag of like solid gold or.
But if someone came to you and was like, I'm getting married, whatever, you know. Well, not whatever.
Yeah, it's like make me a ring.
You would like customize somebody if they asked you, or not really.
Not really. It's not, because I'm not an expert in that field, and if I don't know something, I don't think anyone really knows 100% of anything. But if I don't feel that I can give it 100%, then I don't want to do it, because I believe everyone deserves like the 100%.
For sure. That's. I'm learning so much from you already.
Yeah, yay.
So I want to unpack a little bit more about the mind of I consider you a successful businesswoman.
Thank you.
I want to unpack the mind of a successful businesswoman, and maybe some of the things that help you grow as a businesswoman. What are like maybe there's some secrets, or maybe if you would want to get into it, some of the spirituality or your faith or what have you that's helped you grow your business. I mean, you probably can't see, but on camera I have a few gray hairs coming in, so I try to manage my stress as much as possible.
Don't worry, I can't even see them.
Yeah. So
you're doing good.
Yeah, for yourself, what works for you? What has been working for you?
So it's interesting. I actually found my spirituality through my jewelry company.
Oh, wow.
Because I was in such a state of surrender during the entire process. Like in the beginning, it's not all fun and games. Like I was in debt in the beginning. I went to school for jewelry design. I paid that off. Like was in credit card debt. Like trust me.
How long was that for? This jewelry? I didn't know.
It was about 16 months.
Okay. So it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm like, and like I said, there was like that fire in my soul that told me like, keep going, keep going. Like any other person, I think at that point would have like given up and be like, would have said, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not making money. I'm just like drowning in debt. And eventually like God will lead you to that moment where you're like, I made it. Like but it's not like a moment though. It's like the entire process. It's a journey. Like you fall in love with the process.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But
yeah.
There's always like that little moment where you're like, it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes you keep going. And then there's another moment you're like, wow, it's worth it. Like it's all ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
but it's knowing not to stay down when it's down, because every down has an up, and it's just right around the corner. And I really had to, like I said, it's all about surrender and having certainty. Okay. Certainty is also a term that we learn a lot about in Kabbalah.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like I really just knew that this is what I was made for, what I was made to do, but it's something bigger than that. And I once heard like your passion becomes your purpose in a couple years ago, and I'm like, why do like my passion is more than jewelry. Like I'm not even like obsessed with jewelry. Like I've never even worn jewelry as a kid.
I have a confession.
Funny. Yeah.
So I was stalking your Instagram a little bit, and I saw you're coaching right now. So like, is it kind of like on the business aspect of it? Is it on like the self-development aspect? I think it was self-development, right?
So this is where. So when I heard that, I was like, what's my passion? And I realized my passion is people. Like I truly love people, and I can always see like someone's potential even if they don't see it. And I just always felt like that was my mission in this world, to like really help people see their own power.
Awesome. And
that's kind of guided me into like this spiritual journey. And I got certified to be a life coach a couple years ago, and now I'm like actually full on coaching people. And it's in a way where I've been blessed with the ability of foresight. Like, I don't know if you know what clairvoyance means.
I heard of the term. Is it kind of like intuition in a way?
Yeah, like I can see things. Like I can kind of see things about people before, or like even if they don't see it themselves. And so I am more of an intuitive guide. And
what's your horoscope?
Gemini.
Oh, you're a Gemini?
Yeah.
Why do they say Geminis are the most toxic? I'm not saying
because
that.
No, trust me, we hear it all the time. Because there's two little voices in our head that are always clashing.
Really? When's your birthday?
June 10th.
June 10th? I
Yeah.
think you told me before.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my rising sign is a Libra, so I think that's like really what balances me out, because otherwise I think I'd
Libra
be...
is this, right?
The scales, yeah.
Okay. See, I don't know too much about that, the rising and all that, but I know it's a thing, and I probably should look more into it. But just Gemini. That's what I hear from Gemini.
No, trust me, we get it. Like we're two-faced, we're crazy,
Really?
we're toxic, yeah. But it's
I hear the toxic thing, but
we're just indecisive because we're always changing our minds because of the two voices in our heads. Where like it's always like a battle of the twins. Which one's gonna win?
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's just knowing about how to tame it a little.
So you're starting to coach. You're starting to do all these things. Shifting back to the jewelry business, because I know that's kind of your bread and butter right now. What are some success stories, or what are some like things that you've seen with people, customers, clients that have interacted with your product, that use your product, that come back to you either through testimonial or through sharing, etc. That's like, hey, this did this for me. Do you have anything that you can share in particular, or?
So a lot of people say like they'll buy jewelry at like another store, another location, and they tell them like the jewelry isn't going to tarnish or it's going to like last them, and they come back and they're like or like they tell me that they literally like bought this a week ago and it's already like tarnished, and they've heard that like because I say like this little spiel that like our jewelry is gold filled mostly and it is made to last. So they'll come back to me and they'll be like, wow, your jewelry like really is like so high quality, like it hasn't tarnished, like I've been wearing it for a year. And I just love that because I lead with integrity, and like I'll never lie to like make a sale. Like I'll always tell you up front, like, is it gonna tarnish? Is it not gonna tarnish? Like I'll always be straightforward and honest.
Kosher.
I do. I keep it kosher.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like my biggest sense of achievement in that sense. And just overall having like customers come back and they're like, I brought my friends, like we love your jewelry, and that just like means so much to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other questions that I had is like, I mean, obviously this is like a business podcast. What are like some habits that you incorporate in your life that helps with your business and your life in general? Like, what are some things that you do? Like, for example, for myself, working out, that's something that I do that, you know, if I play basketball, I want to win, because if I win, I'm going to win over here. Like I kind of translate that over. What are some habits that you have that kind of translate over to your business and everything else that you do?
I think a big one is being consistent, because when I was younger, that's not something I was really good at, and I just never found, like I never put my foot down like anywhere. I didn't have a solid grounded foundation because I was always like trying something new. And I just think also creating your own routine during the day is really important, especially if you're your own boss.
That's what I was like thinking.
Yeah, I think that's also something that scares people into like leaving that 9 to 5 and transitioning into their own like career path, or their own like being a boss career path. And that's something that like when I quit the bank, I was really afraid of like, okay, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and then what? And so I always made sure to leave the house like in the morning as if I'm going to work. And then I come back in the afternoon, like I'll go to the gym, I'll go to the market, like I'll get my errands done in the morning.
Okay.
And then in the afternoon, that's for me my optimal time like to work. And for everyone it's different. Some people like work better in the morning, some people work better at night. You just have to kind of figure out what works best for you. So it's also about having a routine, and I think also like using discernment.
For sure.
You'll be approached with opportunities, but I think you also need to have that discernment, like, should I be doing this or should I not? And then that's how your intuition slowly starts getting stronger and stronger, because you don't fall for everything. You fall for things, or you go towards things that really resonate with you.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's also a practice.
So, I mean, you mentioned a few things ran through my mind, but you mentioned, discernment. So, knowing what you know now, for example, what would you tell your younger self when you were, barely starting off, or maybe you were just starting to take off in your business, or maybe even before that, like maybe, let's just say when you were 20, what would you tell yourself? Especially the reason why I'm asking you this question is because maybe there's a younger woman or even man that is watching this, and they want to learn from your wisdom. So what would you tell your younger self?
Fall in love with the process, because I'm always trying to like fast forward to things and like see the end result like right away. But with my jewelry company, it was like the one thing that I actually like took my time and like enjoyed every second of it, even though it was like such a struggle in the beginning. And like obviously certain days too, like some days now are still a little bit harder than others, but just enjoy every minute of what you're doing, because it's yours. Like no one has control over it. It's yours. And like it comes with that freedom that like most people are after.
For sure. That is true. And it's like almost cliche to hear that in a way, because we all hear it, but it's so freaking true.
Yeah.
It's so true. You got to fall in love with the process. The process is the journey.
Like, especially like if you get to the destination, you're going to stand there and look around, and you're going to be like, this is beautiful. And then you're going to be like, okay, and then what?
Yeah, no, you hear it online in other different ways. It's like, when I get the degree, then I'll be this.
Yeah, destination
when
happiness.
I get married, then I'll be this.
It's a myth.
When I get this, no, it's like you're it now. You're happy now, you're fulfilled now, you're in the process, and you're
Exactly.
developing, and you're only refining it and getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyways, another quick question. Your products, has your products been in like any notable editorials, any music videos, etc., that maybe you want to share that you thought it was pretty cool?
Yeah, so this was actually like kind of in maybe 2 or 3 years in of me designing jewelry.
Okay.
One thing that really like showed me the power of manifestation was I was selling my jewelry at a Coachella party.
Oh wow.
And I, like a week or two before, again, I was being called to go to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like I woke up one morning and I was like, I'm going to New York. And it was the first time that I like booked a trip like on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And like at the time I was seeing like all these other like smaller brands like being invited to Teen Vogue, and in my head I'm like, I want to go to Teen Vogue.
Yeah, for sure.
And so 2 weeks later I went to the Coachella party, and then I met, I think she was like a one of the editors at Teen Vogue in New York.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna be in, or she's like, you should, like, whenever you're in New York, like, we'd love to have you. And I'm like, I'm actually gonna be there in a week. And she's like, no way, okay, shoot me an email on Monday and then we'll get in touch.
Wow.
And so I ended up like going to Teen Vogue, and like just incredible opportunities like started popping up. And then I also at the time was working with a PR company, and they like would get my jewelry out to like different editorials, different magazines. And that was kind of a surreal moment too, to like see your pieces like in print.
Yeah.
But this was like my favorite it was a very humbling moment. So I grew up on R&B, as I think most of us did, like Ashanti, Ja Rule. So Ashanti actually wore one of my pieces at one of her shows, and she like tagged me in the photo.
Really?
And I was like, oh my God, like I love her so much. And like the fact that she like
awesome.
even tagged me in it was so amazing. And like even till now, I'm like, that was such a cool moment.
Did someone get it for her, or how did she?
So through the PR company, like they, like each celebrity or talent or whatever it is,
they sourced it through you, or
so they have a stylist, and the stylist like comes to the showrooms and like pulls pieces like clothing, jewelry, and then they decide what they want to wear. Like they get so much, so it was like, oh my God, she chose me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was really cool. And especially since that happened so early on, like in me building my brand, it was just like another like God shot, like go, like keep doing it, you're doing good.
He's like, you are where you
Exactly
where you need to be.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I wanted to maybe ask a few questions more. I was looking at these. I think we hit a lot of different things. One of the other things, I think you answered it earlier, but just to kind of touch up on it a little more, what sets your brand different from like others that are maybe in the similar category? Like what kind of distinguishes yourself?
I think I've been pretty successful at building more of a community as opposed to just a brand, because I've had the opportunity to meet so many of my customers that it creates like a very like it's a deeper relationship.
For sure.
It's more than just, okay, I'm gonna go and buy a ring, or like I'm going for the experience.
It's not as transactional.
Exactly. And then also like my customers love the fact that they can like make their own pieces, and like I'm super good with like if anything like happens to break, or like you're unhappy with something, like I'm so like I just want to help you like fix the problem, and like I want you to be happy. And
For sure.
like again, and it goes with
You got
like,
that top customer service.
I tried to, because that's really like what will set your brand apart. People will keep buying from you if they have confidence in your brand and in you and in your service.
For sure.
So I pride myself in that, definitely.
Awesome. I think we are good to go. I wanted to make another shout out to Intelligates. Intelligates.com, our official sponsor of today's episode. You have an electronic gate that needs gate automation. Make sure you contact Intelligates.com. They work on sliding gates, overhead gates, all types of gates. telephone entry systems, security gates, make sure you can contact IntelliGates.com. They service Los Angeles and Orange County cities. Thank you, IntelliGates.com. Thank you, Lital, for being on the show. It's truly grateful for you to be here, and to the future and everything else.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a wrap.